Hi everybody, I'm Meg and welcome to Maker Mornings with Meg. This is Loven Stamps channel and today's project is, well, okay, I know you're not supposed to have a favorite of lots of things, right? No favorite kids or anything like that, but I do have a favorite stamp set, and actually it all comes down to a favorite image from a single stamp set in the new book. So that image and favorite stamp set following is this one right here. It is sending you a handmade hug because I love all of the thought and love that go into that kind of sentiment, and that's what we do, right? We put these cardstock things together and we send them to people, and that's like getting a handmade hug in the mail, cardstock hug. So I am going to show you a card with this today that features the stamps and the dies, and then the countryside in designer series paper, which matches everything. It's like a neutral. It's like if you think of blue as the new black, then countryside in is like a black and white card neutral that just features whatever the art is that you put with it. So all right, with that, I am going to flip down. I'm going to give you a tip for paper saving, which you may have seen me share before. If you haven't, then you're not going to want to miss it. And I'm going to give you some suggestions for my favorite die set, which I think you can probably already guess. It never leaves my table if you don't know it already, but I'll tell you more about that. Remember, video description has the supply link. So let me switch over here, and good morning, everyone. Hey, Trish, Deborah, Elaine, and Sue, and good to see you guys. All right, so we are, like I said, getting started here with our card. We're gonna go ahead and use just a couple images from here. They're, of course, like pre-cut out things that I leave in my stamp case. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab these. So I need the die cut machine, which just fits here. I need this greeting here that says, wishing you a handmade hug. And I always like to mount my stamps this way so I can get them kind of straight. And then I'm going to use this floral spray here too, which is like a fantastic neutrally sort of decor image. And it also gives us a great connection to our floral paper. So for our dies, we are going to need, let me show you these, so many pieces here. I showed the stamp set the other day when we did a card. This was the one here, and I highlighted this on our new catalog tour on Thursday night. So if you didn't see the Loven Stamps virtual catalog premiere, you can go back on my Facebook page or on YouTube and look for that one. But it was an hour-long video that went through the whole new catalog. And you can see I used that sentiment here with some papers from Bright and Beautiful, which is our feature this month. And I talked a little about the die set. This is a paper trimmer. It even has its own little slider that you put on there. But we're going to go ahead and use the die cut machine here. So let's get some stamping done. I'm going to take my Night of Navy ink pad and go ahead and stamp my die cut machine. When you ink your stamps, especially the dark color like this, remember to flip it over and just make sure that it's thoroughly inked the way you want. Sometimes you need to march your image around on the ink pad like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. And there is our beautiful image. This one has a lot of shading and so forth in it, which just is gorgeous. And then I'm going to give us a greeting here, our sort of focal point. And I actually have this already punched. So this is the 2-inch circle punch, which is, I'm not sure if it's available right now. If you don't have this circle punch yet, you're going to want to add it to a wish list for sure, shopping list. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp this in Night of Navy also. And same thing, look at your stamp after you've inked it to make sure that it is inked the way you want. And then I'm going to bring in Boho Blue, which is one of the new ink colors. This is a new ink color this year. And I'm going to pop my piece here on a little piece of scratch paper and add some flowers. Now, Boho Blue, depending on how well inked it is, can be a little stronger or a little bit lighter. So I'm going to actually want this lighter image. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp off once and then stamp on my paper so that our florals there are not obscuring our greeting at all. So there's a a nice way to get a couple ink colors out of a single pad. And then we're gonna go ahead and start putting our cards together here. This one comes together really well, but it has some great tricks in it. So first of all, this is a piece of thick white cardstock. So this is the thick, not the regular, of basic white. And you maybe, you could probably see it. I scored this in the middle because even though you see me fold card bases all the time without scoring, when you use the thick cardstock, it is important to score and make sure that you have that scored on there so that you don't get a crack at the edge, okay? You wanna have a nice fold. All right, and then we're gonna layer this with a piece of Boho blue cardstock, ta-da. And we got our pieces here. What happened to my, oh, there we go, my die cut machine. So we've got these that are gonna go on here, but I kind of wanted to give this a little bit more extra, just a little extra background interest. And so we have a countryside folder, which is here. I think, let's see, here's the packaging for it so you can see what that pattern is, which is a perfect match for the Countryside in Designer Series paper. It's these great country florals, little bunnies, little birds, little foxes, and then on the back side of these, let's see, here you can see the edges there, are stripes and sort of neutral patterns that you can use for great contrast on all the busy designs, I guess. So this folder matches. It's not available right this minute, but it will be back at the end of May. It's predicted to be back in stock. So you can get the other supplies now, just to hold off on this one till your next time order. And I'm gonna run this through our die cut machine. Sometimes I get questions about, or heaven forbid, I get people who say, I haven't been using my folders because I don't know what sandwiches to use with them. So let's demystify that just a little bit. So when you have your Stampin' Cut Emboss machine, you have the number 1, that's the big block. You have the number 2, that's this skinny one. And then you have a couple of cutting plates. So this Countryside in folder is very thin. It's super flexible. So you're gonna actually use this one without this, okay? Right here, it's very helpful. It says do not use with embossing folders. All right, and then you're gonna look for this one. Now, if you see the directions for the product you're using, then you know you have the right kind of level of your sandwich. And it says right here, insert embossing folders, hinge first, use with standard embossing folders. And then it says a 1 and 3. And my plates don't say 3 on them, but they're the 3 plates. Or use with 3D embossing folders, and it says 1 and 4. And 4 is the plate that I showed you guys sometimes. It is, okay, now I can't remember if it's gray or blue right now. I think it's blue. Okay, and mine is, oh no, it's gray right now. It's gray, and it's across the room, so I'm not gonna show you. But we have a standard embossing folder. If you're ever not sure, you can always look at the catalog, or you can message me and I'd be happy to help you. So right there, it shows the standard embossing folder between the 2 plates. So I'm gonna put this together. I am going to run it through my die cut machine, and through the magic of television, I have that already done for us. So here is our pretty folder. Now you can use this on either side. There is no wrong answer to this. I kind of like this one where the design pops up, but you can do either way. And then I really like to use a glue or tear tape, or this is empty because I made 50 cards yesterday to take to on a backpacking trip. I know cards seem like an odd thing to take on a backpacking trip, but it's for my son's Boy Scout troop. We're going to New Mexico this summer. We're going to Philmont for a 12-day backpacking trip. And I, surprise, surprise, asked the boys in our 2 crews if they would want to have thank you notes to leave at the camps that they, the staff camps that they visit, and they said, sure. Actually, I think they weren't sure about it at all, and I kind of guilted them into saying like, oh yeah, we want to send thank you notes. So I provided the thank you notes, but they will provide the messages. So I think they'll get a kick out of giving them, because honestly, the reception that you get from giving someone a card is sometimes the best reinforcement. And I really look forward to seeing those guys give their thank you cards and then have someone go, what? a thank you card because it's probably not predictable. And then the boys, I think that'll be the first card or two. And then after that, they'll be off and running at sending cards. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and die cut our piece here. And this is my Stampin Cut Emboss Machine. And then, of course, I get through the other side. If you missed it, I had a little piece of washi tape there. And that is going to hold our piece down. Yay! I'm glad you guys like the thank you note idea. So I made a whole bunch with a retired mountain paper that is just gorgeous. So I think it's gonna be fun. Gorgeous, but appropriate for the guys. So all right. So we have our Handmade Hug here, but I want to work in our designer series paper. And my favorite, one of my favorite layouts right now, I did this layout with a retired stamp set and paper, the Tea Time. You might have seen that on my blog. So if you're looking for another idea like this, you can reference that one. Is another episode of Maker Mornings with Meg. And I have two of these patterns, which I've die cut. So you can kind of see I cut my paper into strips and then went ahead and die cut my circles. And then these guys are going to layer here on our card. So I have the bunnies, I have the pieces here. Now, one question, right? How to layer, how to decide which pieces. Well, first of all, I have a die cut bunny part right here, which is a little bit weird. And I have this white backed die cut image, which really gets lost on this white paper. So let's switch these and see kind of what we've got here. I might actually turn our bunny so that it is not an odd shape. This one doesn't really look like anything. And then I'm going to layer like this. And that looks so much more natural there. You can really see the contrast between the blue and the die cut. And we have our image here. Actually, let's pull this down a little bit. Well, I guess we're gonna have our bunnies on there. There. Oh, actually here we can have our bunnies pop out the bottom. So I'm gonna shift this one more time so that these three circles form a triangle. So let me do the other way and I'm gonna show you what I didn't like. I didn't like this because we have a block, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just sort of like, I don't know, it grabs your eye and it just stops. So let's turn this back into a triangle. I know they're circles, but let's turn it back into a triangle by having a set of 3. So we have a 1, 2, 3, because these two kind of go together now. And it feels, it just feels like it has a lot more motion to it and a lot more finish. And if we shift this even down here, then we are kind of realigning our triangles like this. There we go. Now we don't have images even so much on the same, circles on the same plane. This circle's over here, so it's not vertical, it's tilted. And we've got that kind of all set. So I'm not gonna worry about our bunny. He'll be cute. All right, so let's go ahead and stick this down and then I'm gonna show you a trick for the inside. Now, once you have spent all that time kind of getting the things ideally situated, you hate to move them and lose where, like, wait, where was that before? So a lot of times I will remove just individual pieces like this and adhere them to each other and then pick them up as we go. So they're gonna have this now kind of like Lego stacking blocks. I think we're gonna have that there. I was gonna add a second dimensional there, but I think we're not gonna bother. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna stick this back down here on our card front. We're going to add an embellishment to this, and one of the things that I love about the new in colors is the set of dots. So here are, I've gone through kind of a lot of these already. These are the new in color dots. Don't worry, Pebble Path is on there also. Remember to open your packages from the side so you can easily get them in and out. And we have Boho Blue here, which is going to give us a perfect match here. And I'm just gonna pop one there right on the corner to accent our hug word, okay? Remember, your embellishments, your bling is an accent, and it's not random. It's designed to draw the eye to wherever you put it. So make sure you're not like putting one way up here, right? Because that's gonna be like, my eye is here, but there's nothing to look at. It's very confusing. So think about your bling and where it's drawing your eye. All right, next we have the inside of our card because of course you always want to stamp. the inside of our card, but we also have the fabulous option here of adding some kind of designer series paper to the inside of our card. So what if we, for example, popped a whole piece of this here and then added a piece of basic white over the top? I know that seems just like wasting all that paper seems totally blasphemous. It is counter to all of our card making desires, right? Everyone wants to save their designer series paper. Oh, I gotta cut this down one more. So I'm cutting our white layer to go over the top of it. It's gonna be like this. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of this paper to be our background. All right, so 4 by 5 1/4. So we have this, but we don't want to just glue this whole thing down because that would be a little bit horrifying. We don't want to waste all this paper. So this is where my favorite die set comes in. And hello, Saskatchewan. How's the weather up there? I hope you guys are getting nice and warm too. So now we're gonna pull out my favorite die set, and we're going to put this down on our, let's see, does this one fit? I can't remember which one now. There we go, yep, it does. So I'm gonna pull out my favorite die set, which is Stitched Shapes, and I'm going to use some washi tape and go ahead and stick these down, because when you put this many dies through at one time, it would be really sad if you had one skip and jump onto the ones next to it. So you wanna make sure that you give them a chance to not skip. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape that in place. We have these last ones over here. I keep my washi tape extra. I reuse it often and I drop it on the top of my die cut machine. Remember, it doesn't last forever, so sometimes you need to replace it. When it stops sticking, you'll know. And let's go ahead and run this through. So now I have replaced my pad number 2. So here, I'll switch this so you can see. So I'm using 1 and 2. I know it's upside down. And look, right here on top is the directions for the product I'm using, used with thin dies. And it shows me using number 3, which is cutting plates with paper in between. So super easy to use this. If you just, I know the type might be small, but it's worth looking at. So now here's a tip on this. When you use your die cut machine, if I have this set here where these long straight lines are gonna go through the machine, like this, they are likely to hop. And because what happens is you get a whole lot of division of pressure over one just long line like there. I find that I get much better results and things don't hop as much if I tilt these. So now when this goes through, picture the roller as it kind of moves along here. That roller is going to cut, or really going to put pressure here. I'll show you like this. So that roller is going to put pressure on just like little single bits at a time. That roller doesn't have to put pressure on a whole strip of metal all at one time. So if you never thought about that, think about it when you're putting your dies through. And then you don't have to listen to it go like ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. Which honestly works fine too. I just find it a little bit less than ideal. So let's pull this out here, and we have our banners ready to use. So these, of course, I could use on another project. Honestly, when I do this, I often have to just make a second card right away, because I look at this and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's a card waiting to be made right there. And with Stylish Shapes, they have that darling, there you can kind of see stitch line around the edge. You can see on the back of this too. So really, I could even layer these. And in fact, actually I made a card the other day with these kinds of layers. Where did I put it? I have card pieces left over from a similar paper saving adventure, and this was the card I made with those. So you can see right there, those layers and pieces just go right together. So this is the new Lemon Lolly and the new Bubble Bath and the new Berry Burst. So really pretty colors. And then these papers are actually from the same suite, the Bright and Beautiful suite. So anyway, yeah, you should definitely do this with your designer series paper and make the most. Yay! Hi, I'm glad it's super sunny in Ontario too. Yeah, we have a beautiful day also. So then here is another plus. If you're doing a bunch of these, you have your dies already stuck together. So you can just take this and layer it on another quarter sheet of paper and cut another one for yourself. So I honestly leave those together a lot of the times. But back to our card, like what are we doing here? We have left ourselves a easy margin around the edge. And let's see, which side do we want to choose? This one doesn't show so much of the designer series paper pattern. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on this side. And when you have such tiny edges, I find hands down the easiest is multi-purpose liquid glue. Sometimes I will leave myself a holding point. When I made those 50 cards the other day, I'll show you when I do my layer here. But I started leaving myself a holding point so I wasn't going to get gluey fingers. So I know I'm safe to hold it right here. And then I can go ahead and stick this down. With a multi-purpose liquid glue, you also get a fraction of time where you can readjust the placement, so you can shift it a little bit, which I adore. And there we have our layers. Now we're going to cover up this Handmade Hug inside here with our piece of basic white. So if you were going to stamp this with a greeting, you could go ahead and do that. A couple things to point out. One, the Stampin' Up! Basic White cardstock is fabulous. So really, it is very difficult to see through there. I think like if you hold the light up in the right place, I don't know, maybe you can. But the Stampin' Up! White cardstock is fabulous, so you don't have to worry about that. And then let me show you what I mean by leaving a handle on this. So I'm going to use my liquid glue again, and I'm going to go around all three edges, and then I'm going to make a little loop over here. Let's see, can you spot my loop? There's my loop. So that's my place where I'm going to handle this. So now I can hold on to it without getting gluey fingers and stick my layer down where I want it. So there are a couple of quick tips for you. So make yourself a second card right away. Actually, I am gonna make these into a card. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna use these right now when I hang up the phone with you guys, when I get off our video, because I don't know, those pieces are just too pretty together, right? Let's see. Okay. So that is our card. Here's another one. I'm using just a little bit different selection of the designer series paper. Same card idea though, and same trick there for the inside of our cardstock. Okay. So crafting with you and sending a handmade hug, my favorite new greeting from the new catalog. It is a great stamp set to add to your collection. It includes not only the Handmade Hug stamp and the die cut machine, but there's like an artist's, what do you call that? Easel. And there is the sewing machine, there's knitting, so all kinds of crafting are included in here. And that Handmade Hug works for everything, right? Like you could knit a beautiful sweater, you could make a hat, or I guess a hat wouldn't be a hug. You could knit a scarf. That would be the perfect greeting for a scarf. So if you knit or crochet or sew or something, you should leave a comment, say what kinds of things you like to work on. I love that as crafters, we often have lots of interests. So if any of the supplies you need for these projects are, if you need any of the supplies for these projects, remember to click the video description for the link to the supplies. As always, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope your week is off to a great start. So on this fabulous, sunny in many places Tuesday, enjoy your day. And hi Liz. I'm glad you love these tips. Let's see. Oh, Carol said, Philmont is fabulous. And am I hanging out at base camp? Nope. I'm going on a backpacking trip. So we're 12 days in the backcountry, I guess 10 days on the trail and a day of in and out, check-in stuff at the end. But it is somewhere in the 70-mile range over those 10 days, including a peak that's 12,441 feet. And most of our trek is above 8,000 or 9,000, I think. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about it. And I'm sure I'll have all kinds of fun stories to share with you. So yay, if anyone is excited about Philmont. So we're excited to go share that with our son this summer. So, all right, everybody, have a fabulous week, and I will see you again on Thursday for another Maker Mornings with Meg. So take care.